wrote a column in the Washington Times, this was about 7 years ago, in which I exposed then Vice President Joe Biden's role in betraying Navy SEAL Team 6, resulting in 30 of them being murdered and killed by jihadists and Taliban terrorists in Afghanistan. It is, to me, maybe Joe Biden's greatest scandal of all. Why? Because he betrayed our warriors. And he betrayed them simply to spike the political football. So if you remember, the nation rightly celebrated the killing of Osama bin Laden, the mastermind of the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks that killed about 3,000 Americans on that fateful day. He found bin Laden in Pakistan and killed him, assassinated him. The country celebrated. Biden, several days after that news was announced to the country, it wasn't enough that the Biden or the Obama-Biden administration had managed to get Osama bin Laden. No. They had to spike the political football. They had to brag. They had to take credit. They had to stand there and cheer and pat themselves on the back. So on May 3rd, 2011, as I point out in my column, Joe Biden revealed the identity of the people behind the assassination of bin Laden. He let the world know in a speech that it was Navy SEAL Team 6. Now, we know this now because he was the one that gave out the information. He was the one that exposed their identities. But you have to understand how shocking it was at the time. Because Navy SEAL Team 6 these are elite warriors who are supposed to engage in covert operations and raids. At that time, in Afghanistan and in Iraq, in the dead of night, where nobody knows they were there, nobody knows what they did, nobody has ever heard or should hear that they were involved. It is to protect their anonymity so they can continue to function effectively on our behalf. This buffoon, frankly, this traitor, publicly exposed them. And now the world knew, and most importantly, the Taliban and Al-Qaeda and the jihadists in Afghanistan now knew who had killed their dear leader, who had killed their mastermind, who had killed Osama bin Laden. It was Navy SEAL Team 6, all the members. And they vowed jihad. They vowed revenge and retaliation. And so when that happened, members of Navy SEAL Team 6 felt profoundly betrayed. They couldn't believe it. And then literally within days of Biden's announcement that it was Navy SEAL Team 6, I spoke to many family members, and they told me that Navy SEAL Team 6 members reached out to them. One of them was Aaron Vaughn. He was involved in the raid against Osama bin Laden. I'm going to get to what happened to him in Navy SEAL Team 6, but first, here is what his mother, Karen Vaughn, told me in an interview as I cite in my column. Quote, "I never heard Aaron this concerned and worried in his entire life. We had been compromised," he said. "Now we were hearing chatter that the jihadists were out to get us. They knew who we were. They were going to come after us and our families. He called me and said, 'Mom, you and Dad have to take everything down,' meaning on social media, on Facebook. 'Don't let people see pictures of me with you and the family, because that could put you in danger.' Biden has just put a huge target on everybody." Now, sadly, he was right. because several months later, this is in August now of 2011, Navy SEAL Team 6 is back in Afghanistan. And for reasons that have still not been explained, they were ordered to go on a raid, which was a routine raid. Why you would use elite warriors to do a routine raid has yet, as I said, to be explained. They went on a Chinook helicopter. It was a jalopy. It was made in the 1960s. And waiting for them were jihadists as they went into a valley in Afghanistan. And before they left on that Chinook helicopter to conduct this raid, number one, there was no air support whatsoever, which is standard military procedure. But even more suspicious, 7 Afghan fighters jumped onto the Chinook that were not on the flight list. At the last minute, they changed. Were they infiltrated by Al-Qaeda? We don't know. Did they give away their position? We don't know. But someone did. And jihadists and Taliban fighters were waiting for this Chinook helicopter. 30 Navy SEAL Team 6 members, almost the entire team, was on that Chinook helicopter. And they blew it right out of the sky. They saw it. They used shoulder-fired missiles. They were ambushed and they were killed. And the parents were asking for a congressional investigation. They're still, in fact, demanding an investigation. They still want answers. Did Joe Biden put a target on Navy SEAL Team 6? Did he put a bullseye on their backs? Did he sell them out because he had to spike the political football and claimed credit for the assassination of Osama bin Laden? Coming up next, a Navy SEAL Team 3 member will discuss this. You got to hear it next. 32 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Cooner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I want to apologize. We're getting calls from Marines and others. It's Chinook helicopter. My deep apologies. I'm not a military man, so forgive me. Anyway, so USA Today, numerous other so-called mainstream media publications have been vilifying the Cooner Man because those columns that I've written about what happened to Navy SEAL Team 6 are now going viral everywhere in the last couple of weeks of the campaign, and the Biden people are furious. So they're unleashing their press dogs to come after me. That's okay. I don't care. The truth is the truth is the truth. And someone who knows about what happened to Navy SEAL Team 6 and what Joe Biden did to them is Kevin Lace. We've had him on the show before. Very special guest. He was a member of Navy SEAL Team 3. He did several deployments in Iraq. He was also in the movie American Sniper. He knew Chris Kyle. In fact, played himself. Kevin, it's an honor and a privilege to have you on, and welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Kevin, I gotta ask you, before I get into the actual Navy SEAL Team 6 issue, the controversy and the scandal, you're very well known, you're very well respected, people know what you've done for our country. Who are you voting for in this election, and why?
Well, good morning to you as well, sir. It's good to be on the show. It's good to be back on the show. I really enjoy the show and everything you do, and you guys are proud supporters of veterans and things that I'm involved with. It's a very easy election for me when it comes to voting. It's the same result that I did in 2016. I think Americans at a point where strong leadership has gotten us to the point where we're at. I think foreign policy-wise, I'm very happy with the direction we've gone. I know we'll talk about that later. The Supreme Court is a slam dunk for me, so I'm voting for. I think it's a pretty easy decision for many, many Americans.
Kevin, when it comes to Navy SEAL Team 6, Did then Vice President Joe Biden expose their role in the Osama bin Laden raid? And did he then put a target on their back?
Yeah, that's a good question. Did he expose them? Yes, he did. I think the fact that prior to, the UBL raid, development group operated within the shadows. So I do believe that he did expose them and make their name more well known, become, to entertain the conversation. I really think with Joe Biden, though, I just don't think he's a strong personality. And, him and the UBL raid and talking about it is kind of like he's the type of guy who inherits like a Mustang and then gets caught bragging about how fast his wife can drive the car. That's the type of Joe Biden that I see. His foreign policy, the Biden-Obama foreign policy is very, very weak. And, there's been historical markers throughout the 8 years that shown that it's very, very weak. And, we were put in a position of, our safety was lost. And I believe that over the course of those 8 years, this was the dividing moment for him. So I feel that Joe Biden was thrust into a situation that he really didn't want to go into, the UBL raid. It happened. He feels it's time to capitalize. Now let's go ahead and say, hey, let's tell everybody we got him, and now let's expose development group. And the problem with that is, you can talk about who they are and what they do, but you're never going to know when they're coming. And it happens again with Extortion 17 in 2011, where many SEALs were killed in a helicopter crash, and special operations aviators and coalition forces. And that gave a platform for the terrorists to utilize it. Hey, we got the guy that got SEAL Team 6, or they got Osama bin Laden. So I think that Joe Biden is he goes with the political bends, and I think he just likes to brag about the assets at his disposal, but has no ground in how they truly operate, what they do for the country.
Kevin, you're right. He actually opposed the raid on Osama bin Laden, and then a couple days later, he's spiking the football, bragging. That's when he, blurts out the name that Navy SEAL Team 6 was the one behind the raid. And then several months later, this is what I want to ask you, you have the Chinook helicopter. It was a jalopy. I think it was made in the 1960s. There was no air support at all given during that mission. At the last moment, 7 Afghans who were not on the flight list suddenly appear onto the helicopter, and they're caught in an ambush. And before you know it, the Chinook goes down, and as you say, the jihadists are bragging they got almost everyone who killed Osama bin Laden. The family members have been asking for answers. They haven't been getting them. Were they set up? Was it infiltrated? Why were their bodies so quickly cremated after the accident? And ultimately, they want Joe Biden to be held responsible, saying he has blood on his hands. What say you?
Yeah, so the Extortion 17 crash, that hits close to home. John Tummelson, Derek Benson were 2 gentlemen that I actually served with personally at SEAL Team 3 prior to them going over to development group. And that incident, I think, exposed the vulnerability that the American military was at in that time frame due to a lot of the decreased funding and I think the lack of aggression with the rules of engagement in areas like Iraq and Afghanistan, and the support that just wasn't there.